Hey everybody, welcome back to Records of Evil. Of course, now our illustrious villains have met and are having a date with what appears to be elven mobsters. Yep. So, that's a good thing. Sure? I don't know. You enjoy the rest of your lunch with some small talk. And at the end of it is like, well, ladies, it has been very good to meet you. Perhaps we should trade some contact information, so perhaps we can have some more wonderful dinners like this, and that maybe perhaps we could spend some evenings together at some point in time.
I would be curious in this spellcaster work you were talking about.
Yeah. She's an actual bona fide spellcaster that is for sale there. Very interesting. That seems like it could be something of very use, and perhaps having one of you as a connection to one of us wouldn't be bad in that way.
Does any of us remember the phone number?
You broke up there a little bit.
Do we have the phone? Oh, does any of us have the phone or remember our phone number?
Good question. Did you bring the phone with you? Actually, did you bring an imp with you? I've assumed that if the imp was there, he's been invisible the entire time. Because what the imp does.
Generally assume he comes along unless
you're going to like work or something.
Well, unless like we specifically have him stay back and do something.
So he's probably there, and you've got the phone, I'd say.
Okay, so I guess we can exchange numbers.
Hey, I think they want to have some carnal relations with you on a regular basis. I think they do.
It might not hurt to try that for now. Maybe we can get them on our side.
Excellent. Oh, just one phone between all you ladies? I guess since you're new in the city, maybe you're from a small town. Not many people had phones. I understand that. Coming to a big town together? Well, we'll show you some good times here. You know, we know how to show our lady friends some good times in the big city here of Kalimport. Don't worry, ladies. Don't worry. You'll have a great time with us. Just, we'll give you some times that won't be very, copacetic to, be contacting us. If you know what I mean. Anyway, ladies, if you need some place to be dropped off, I can arrange for it. Let me get a car here for you. Boys, see if you can get a car for the ladies. And, we'll have to meet again. As, he's going to put his hand on, Therzee. He's going to put his hand on yours. And give you kind of like a look that you don't really need a very high insight check to understand. Like you're attractive. Come spend some time with me kind of look. And then the three gentlemen will leave. With one of the guards. The other guard will kind of hang around and get on the phone. As you see, like, an elven man's kind of like... the harp music will stop and they leave, and then, like, an elven man in back will kind of, like, take a look, kind of, like, shake his head, you know, about this entire kind of thing, and then, like, get back to work, kind of. You can kind of see him, like, cooking a little bit in the back. It's got one of those, like a little, like, hole where you can look into where he's working.
Where do we go now?
Ladies, if you, the ride will be here in about 15 minutes, if you need it. If you know where to go, tell the driver. I will stay here with you.
What time is it at this point?
Let's see here. That was probably a little bit in the afternoon, after your morning escapades. We'll say it's probably like mid-afternoon, so maybe like, we'll say 4. You had a nice leisurely lunch. It turned into like a dinner. A late lunch. We'll call it late lunch.
Just go back to the hotel, or...
Do we have anything else we want to do? Do we have any ideas?
Do we have work this evening?
You're off this evening.
Okay.
Yeah, you have work tomorrow. Today is the 15th. Oh, I do have a month. Let me give you a second here. It is the 15th of Elent. So it is kind of late summer, right before autumn begins. Is the kind of time of year I describe it as.
These people need something to do. Besides going back to the hotel.
We need to get hobbies.
They do. But we don't know any of the places. We go to the park. Maybe.
Is there something, if you are having trouble deciding where to go back to, ladies, is there some place that perhaps I may know about to suggest? I'm sure the bosses would be very happy for you to be pleased.
What are your suggestions?
What are you looking for? A night on the town? Shopping? Good food or snacks? Entertainment? I believe the local theater has the latest comic book-based movie coming out. I, for one, not very great on them, but my little cousin loves them, and I take them all the time.
Do we know what a movie is?
Not at all.
No. Well, we may have seen ads.
You probably saw ads for, like, what you're assuming is, like, does a movie trailer actually say it's a movie, though? Maybe, some of them do.
They sometimes say in, like, a movie theater, like, hey,
Yeah.
Or like
in
theaters near you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. There's a theater not far from here that is showing the local movies. We could perhaps find something for you, ladies. The bosses told me to make sure you were in good spirits before heading home.
Sounds like it'd be fun to check out.
Mm-hmm.
Then allow me to accompany you to there. I will ensure that you will spend a good time, and then if you return to the car, we will be willing to take you back to your abode afterwards. And the bosses shall be happy with that. If you will report to them that we treated you well, it will be good for our natures and good for our times.
Very well.
I guess we could do that.
Excellent. So he'll, like, take you to a car out front. Kind of, like, get in the front seat with another driver, and the three of you can get in the back. There's plenty of room. They'll take you a couple blocks away to a large building that seems to have a number of, like, paintings up on the walls, like, that seem to mention different things. You do recognize one of them from one of the, like, small, things in between your shows on the TV. Basically commercials. But, movie ads that you totally saw. You recognize one of them as something that seems to involve something that you're not sure what's going on, but apparently someone's, like, getting injured or something, you know, and people, they call it a comedy, you guess? You're not sure. You really didn't get the humor. You've, like, comedy plays you've heard of course, but, like, this is weird. There seems to be about 6 movies on now, and they go by various names. If you would like any recommendations, perhaps I could assist you ladies. I am, for one, a movie buff here at the theater.
How do movies make you buff?
That is a bit weird. But he is very buff, so I suppose it...
He is a very large elven man. Larger than your average elf. That's for sure.
I guess suggestions wouldn't hurt. I only know one of these. And it seemed weird.
Well, there is a very funny movie, Stick Slap. It is about a man who seems to get into cartoonishly based injuries and somehow get through them. And he seems to have gained almost invulnerability. There is a children's movie, Legend of the Grey Unicorn. It is about a unicorn that is born from both a black and a white unicorn, which should not happen or something. I don't know. No, I did not know there were black unicorns up until this movie, so... There is Captain Faerun, hero for the New Age. It is one of them comic movies, if you like that sort of thing. I believe it is a period piece, his origin story or something. There is a war movie going on. Battle of the Bridge. And, of course, there is a romantic movie, Love After Undeath. And there is also a dramatic movie over there. That is one if you want to be maybe have some tears or something. Death Eternal.
Does the romantic one happen to be anything like the shows on TV? On those weird light pops?
Oh,
I don't know what TV is.
What type? The shows that you... What shows are you particularly talking about?
I don't remember what they're called. Therzee, do you know?
You might remember the one show, The Gob and the Hob.
That's what it was. I'm like,
Yeah,
wasn't there one with like a goblin and something?
Not a hobgoblin? A goblin and a hobgoblin? That is a more soap opera-ish type, or soap type one. Perhaps the romantic movie would be your liking for that one, or the drama movie if you're looking for something like that. There are very few movies that are probably capture the imagination of a soap opera like a soap opera does.
Anything similar is okay. Which one do you think would be better?
I, for one, would think that the comedy movie would be good if you're in for a good laugh. If you're good for something a little bit more action-heavy, then I would say the battle movie, the war movie. It is slightly historical. It is a dramatization of an old battle. So, not usually my style, but it might be yours. As I said, I am not much one for the hero movies, but maybe if you want something a little more fantastical, someone that has, like, superpowers, not based upon magic or science. Very strange powers that even magic can't create. Very interesting there.
Kind of curious about the historical one.
As I said, it is mostly historical. Or if you like it's a good movie that involves a lot of romance, then you could see the one. Apparently, from what I have heard, it is about a man who falls in love with a woman who turns out to be a wraith.
Ooh.
I like the idea of that one.
I like the sound of that. But then, the war one also sounds pretty interesting. It might be something we remember.
Maybe.
Uh-huh.
What time in history did this one take place?
I do not believe it's ancient history. I think it is more modern history. One of the last big wars.
Oh, we might not know this one.
Ah, that's a shame.
I don't know, but
Let's try the Wraith one.
Yeah.
That's a very good one. It stars a beautiful woman, Wraith one of the very few Wraith actresses in the movies industry right now. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of discrimination against the undead, especially those that are not violent towards people. You still get some dangerous ones out there. Ruins it for the rest of them. You know, all about that life draining or soul stealing and stuff. I, for one, live and let live if they aren't trying to do it to you. He'll get you some tickets and give you your tickets and say, like, they says you are in Theater 3. Good luck, ladies. We'll be waiting for you. I hope you enjoyed the movie. Please tell me if it is worth seeing.
Thank you.
Will do.
Alright, so yeah, it's kind of hard to follow the movie, I'm going to say, for you folks. It does seem to involve the electronic messaging. It turns out that this human boy falls in love with this woman over the electronic messaging for a long period of time. They exchange stuff. It turns out that she is indeed, yes, a wraith, and has been using some of her own spiritual powers to possess her old phone from when she was alive, and sending old pictures and stuff like that. Living out a vicarious life. Eventually he does track her down, they meet, and there's a very, like, sad part where she decides to, like, you know, like, go on herself, you know, her eternal damnation on her own. But eventually, though, love finds a way that he wants to spend all the rest of his life with her, even if it means, you know, that they can never truly be together, kind of thing. And it does end on a very strange note that implies that they're going to seek some kind of religious counsel, that maybe someone that can master a gift from the gods can perhaps find a way to bring back his love. Almost like a journey, a spiritual journey that they're going to go on, that's kind of ends on. So it's very weird. It doesn't quite, like, for you folks, it's like the ending of the story, it seems to work for everybody else in the theater, but there's just, like, an oddity to it. Like, you've heard of, like, magic that can resurrect the dead. I guess maybe they're seeking that? But they don't say it in so many words.
Mm-hmm.
And I was about to give the actress's name as a very bad, like, pun on something from our day, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just not gonna bother. I decided against it before I did it there. Mm-hmm.
It's not as fun as I thought it would be.
It didn't make much sense.
Meanwhile, they're obsessed with Goblin Hop, which I don't think would probably make more sense than that.
I mean, they're both goblin or goblinoids. So, I mean, at least then it makes kind of sense that there could be a romance there, even though, you know, it's kind of like, it's like if you heard, like, trashy stories of, like, a halfling and a human getting together. It's weird, but, it probably by your standards, but not unheard of.
I guess.
I'd probably go into a small rant about how that's not how resurrection magic works.
Mishka would just agree. She doesn't.
I don't think that kind of magic seems common
Sounds
nowadays.
sounds like she knows what she's doing.
That was kind of interesting. I would have thought that the Dame would have turned him into a wraith, and that then they could spend eternity together.
That would have made more sense.
Yeah, but there was this message about bringing her back from the dead so that they could have, like, kids or something. That's kind of weird.
Ugh.
Who would want?
Can those of you that have been watching trashy TV more give me an insight check? Actually, after this.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah.
I'll probably say it's more them, because my character, while she's been peeking into, like, the show every now and then, she hasn't actually been avidly watching it in the same way they have.
Therzee and Mishka are religiously watching this.
Yes.
With a ton of coffee.
Mishka, you actually have been thinking about it, and there does seem to be, like, even in the Gob and the Hob, like, there does seem to be this connotation a lot of time for a lot of these more story-driven ones that couples that end up together will basically have families, whether through various means. Like, they don't, like, seem to restrict who gets together, but more like, you know, like if it's an unusual couple, they might suggest, you know, magic or adoption. You know, that seems to be in the end of these stories. While if it's ones that might be compatible, there's this implication of it. That does seem to be actually a theme in these stories. You didn't think about it much up until now, because, you know, your show, it just came up here and there, but nothing major, you know, it's like, you know...
Yeah.
But, like, with this movie now, it's just made you think a little bit more about it.
I think these people now are very much about having children. I think that's just what they're focused on. Seems a little odd.
It is a bit odd that they have nothing better to do.
You'd be learning so many other things.
Passing on the, Extending yourself to the next generation is a noble idea.
I suppose. But what are they starting it? They don't seem to have anything in mind.
Ladies, did you enjoy the movie?
It was okay.
I wouldn't see it again.
A little nonsensical, but...
Not your cup of tea, necessarily? I understand. It's a little different than apparently the soap operas that you were big fans of. Well, ladies...
I mean, that ring at the end probably costs as much as it would to buy the materials used to resurrect her. I don't know why she couldn't even wear the ring. It was a gesture. I don't understand.
I mean, if you are talking about those that can master... Oh, that is right. You would said you are some kind of spellcaster. Probably learning of the more, healing types, I assume? Yes?
Yes.
As much as we of the elven variety master some magic still, unfortunately, my lady, your type of study is actually quite rare, if that you hadn't realized that. So very few could even master that type, could even spend enough time to master a powerful enough magic to resurrect a lady such as herself. Most of the time, those that practice your type of spellcasting only develop enough to bring back someone that's been dead for perhaps a few minutes. At most. You know, they usually work around the hospitals just to bring someone back in case of emergencies that their spells could perhaps help with. Major hospitals are good enough to have one of them. Smaller hospitals have to deal with just some normal medicine. I mean,
Perhaps knowledge of this has been lost. Interesting.
well, not necessarily lost. I still hear some people that can practice the resurrection spells, but apparently, if you're talking about cost, those materials are much more expensive than you think nowadays, m'lady.
Really?
I guess maybe you weren't taught that in town? Oh, yeah. There's been a shortage of diamonds for a while now.
Out of character. You know, it kind of makes sense if, like, diamonds just evaporate when used to resurrect people. Over, like, a couple thousand years, there probably is a significant decrease in diamonds.
Yup. Diamonds are very expensive. Much more expensive than even our society in this one.
That's actually also a good point. You know, people talk about how, oh, diamonds aren't all that rare or all that valuable in our world, but it's like, you know, if they actually are used to raise people from the dead, they would be so much more valuable.
Hence why, like, actual long-term resurrection is incredibly expensive and incredibly rare.
Yeah.
Since that's why they seem to be almost going for divine miracle in the movie.
Yeah.
So it makes more sense now that you've had this conversation. Well, ladies, where are you be taken home to? I know it is getting a little later in the day. I believe I could stop for us for some kind of takeout for something. Just to provide you with something for a little snack for dinner. So you have had a good time, and perhaps we'll consider hanging out some more with the Don. He would be very hopeful that they would perhaps... I will not beat around the bush. He is looking for another mistress, and perhaps one of you ladies would be interested in it. I know he implied that he would have time. It is because he wants to spend some time with his actual family rather than at the family business. You are very nice ladies and have been treated me very nicely, and I do not wish to deceive you in this case. They always say, the honest gangster doesn't get very far in the business, but I always feel like, keeping up with honesty is good, straight work. I mean, other than shooting people.
If Mishka was gonna like any of these people, it would only be him.
Yeah.
So, what's implied with being his mistress?
Perhaps... I believe one of his mistresses spends her time mostly at a little condo that he bought for her. They hook up occasionally, at a schedule. I believe he is attempting to have some form of illegitimate child with her. I believe it's part of the deal. One of those things. Apparently the family's been suffering from a little bit too much, elven blood has been a little bit scarce these days. Ever since, 100 years ago when everything happened.
Whenever
What happened 100 years ago?
Are you from the boonies? You probably didn't suffer from it a lot if you're from the boonies, and your family probably doesn't talk about it. But when there was the plague, a lot of people died. Probably only a few in your community, I'm sure. But here in the cities, it was not a good sign, apparently. I myself was still a young boy then. Only in my 30s. It's only been a little while now that I have been a man, and of course a made man in the family. But many races suffered. There was a few that were some of the smaller races that have now been rebounded. But humans have done a good job of it. They always were very prolific on their breeding, but we elves, not so much. I heard tales that a lot of you, your kind, Madam Lizard Folk, Miss Vasale, your kind did pretty well. Didn't have many chances to get into trouble. A lot of people turn towards religion, hence why our family's all big for the families is big on the Church of All. It would behoove you to perhaps jump into it too. It's Therzee, because of your heritage, I believe that's why he has taken a particular shine to you. Don.
If religion's a big thing for him.
It is with the entire family, and I understand that is a hard thing to get into. Not everybody believes in the Church of All. Especially if you're from the boonies. Maybe you still got some of the old deity ties. And that is fine.
Exactly.
See?
We're into something a bit different than that church.
But I'm just saying, maybe a little time, maybe a little adaptation. I'm not trying to convince you. You seem like nice ladies. It'll be your choice. But perhaps we will stop for some burgers. You can take them home. Where are you staying right now?
Edge of the Desert Motel.
That place is not very great. A lot of businessmen seem to take their mistresses there too, if you know what I mean. Well, if that is where you're staying, that is where you'll be taken. He'll pick you up basically fast food. Like, some kind of burger shack that'll pick you up some stuff. So.
Now we're gonna learn about MSG.
Probably not. It'll be like, it'll probably be like, Terrorbird burgers and, some kind of root vegetable fries. It's not potatoes. It's some kind of other weird root vegetable. Well, it's sweet potato fries are the standard. There you go. Enjoy yourself.
I am a big fan of sweet potato fries.
No, I'm not.
That's wrong.
The only times...
Is it though?
The time I've enjoyed sweet potato fries, in barbecue sauce. It needed that. It needed barbecue sauce. On its own, too sweet for me.
Are there good ones though?
If they're super herby and covered in salt, they're pretty good.
Anyway, yeah, you'll enjoy your Terrorbird burgers. Apparently, that's their version of ostrich farms. It's just Terrorbirds.
Great.
Giant carnivorous birds. Enjoy the meat of them. Anyway, yeah, the burgers will be great. You'll get those. Probably some kind of nuggets of some indiscriminate meat. I don't know what. And sweet potato fries. And you'll be taken back to the motel. Well, ladies, it has been nice to know you. If I can ever be your chauffeur again, please let me know. As long as it is you are having a relationship with the Don himself. As part of the T-Seed family, I bid you a good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
And to leave. Leaving you basically in front of the motel, actually, rather than in front of your room. They'll kind of turn around on the road and head back into town.
He was pleasant.
Well, that was an interesting adventure.
Yes.
See, I was hoping the Don could, maybe get us some side work. This wasn't the side work I was imagining.
No, it's very different.
I don't know if you can really make a cult easily with a religious guy as side work of his.
You may have a point.
Yeah, he might make putting our cult back together a bit hard.
I don't know. That's a tough call. If you think you could use it some way, I'd say go for it. But I'm not you, and I don't have that kind of organs. I don't really have any organs.
You're just an odd thing.
Well, not all of us are on the Devils have the ability to be active in any sort of way. Have you seen some of us? We are very naked. I don't wear clothes. I don't have anything to hide, though.
I've noticed this.
I mean, we could make you some clothes.
Really won't be necessary. I can just be invisible.
Also, it might hinder his
Why don't you turn
ability.
into a small rat? It'd be funny. A little rat with clothes.
Hmm.
Do you reckon there's any chance we could convert the Don? If we get him on, our side, I'm sure it'd be a lot easier to convert all the others.
That's very true.
I've considered this. It'd be great influence.
Maybe if you get those spellcaster jobs and get him on our better side, it might be easier to get into.
Sadly, I'm not as strong of a spellcaster. I may know a lot, but I don't. Power takes time to come by.
I see. Well, we can figure it out.
Well, perhaps we should go inside and rest a little bit. Well, you can rest a little bit. I can continue to enjoy time on the phone, and you can discuss whether or not you're going to be in carnal relations with some elven men for, I guess, being taken care of by them, or if we're going to continue as we are now. Or both.
I wonder if Robin the Hob is on.
I hope it is. It'll be better than that odd movie we watched.
Alright.
The more I think about that movie, the less sense it really does make.
It really doesn't make any. I don't know why everyone seems to like it.
So you will enjoy the rest of your evening, and it will you'll enjoy the rest of your food that you were given, and after a while, of course, Hobgob will come on at late at night, as it seems to always, when they have their I was gonna say repeats, but that's not a word. My brain just...
Reruns?
Reruns. See, my brain just broke there. Broke. They're reruns. And the evening will pass. And we'll get into tomorrow. And why don't we take our second break, as now you've reached back home, and you're probably going to be getting ready to look into an apartment tomorrow. Now that you have another option on the side anyway. So... We'll take another break. This one will probably be a little bit quicker. If you need a bathroom break, snack, or drink, go ahead and do it. And we'll be back in about 5 or so minutes, a few minutes, to return to go on apartment hunting adventures. So, see you in a second, folks.